I see 1,000 things and I know something doesn't fit in my brain puzzle.
I do that every day.
Everything I look at's a puzzle, right? Whether it's a profit and loss statement or an operation or whatever. And if the pieces of the puzzles don't fit, it sticks out in my head. And I can see something's wrong, but if I'm going to go fix it, that's never going to happen because I'll get distracted in 5 minutes and I'll be looking at a TikTok video. But at the point of there's something wrong, I need you to go figure out what it is. As long as you have a good team under you, ADHD is powerful. You give them a task, they can execute. You give them 3 tasks, 2 of them won't get done.
100%.
100%.
Welcome to the Josh and Eric Show. I'm Eric.
And I'm Josh.
And today, we're all the way out here in, where is it?
Kennesaw, Georgia.
Kennesaw, Georgia. Josh and I took the red eye this morning to see Mr. Dropout Millionaire, Brian Will.
Multi-millionaire.
Multi-millionaire.
Because anybody can be a millionaire. It's got to be a little special to get to a multi-millionaire.
Alex actually corrected me that I was like, Dropout Millionaire. He's like, no, it's multi-millionaire.
Excuse me.
Y'all said that 3 times on your last podcast I was watching. You kept saying the Dropout Millionaire.
Yeah. It flows a little bit better. The multi kind of throws you for a loop.
But now we know. So we're thankful for you letting us come out here, check out your spot, your hangar, and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Look, which one's yours? Oh, yours is out on.
Mine's out flying.
And then Ferrari.
That one's mine.
When you do something right, you get a Ferrari.
That's
and
right.
Then he just informed us earlier it's his everyday driver.
Yeah.
Where's your Ferrari, Eric?
Still at the dealership. They're waiting on me to sign the papers still. I've been looking at him for a while.
I got a guy. He'll set you up.
I bet he will. He sells 20 a month is what he told me.
At least, yeah.
That's crazy.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a lot.
So we're out here with Brian, and he started a podcast, I think it was 2021, 2022.
Basically, no. I started my podcast at the beginning of 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
And we follow people that kind of are like-minded, right? That are in business, that on your way over here, it sounds like you tried a lot of things.
A lot.
One thing that stood out to us, we thought you were just in the restaurant business and some real estate based off your podcast. And we realized real quickly on the way over here, you're in much more and you've tried much more.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what's intrigued Josh and I is that the path that he's likely already taken is that we're kind of right behind him, and we're into different businesses. We're into real estate. We're into now influencer, doing podcasts. So we have a lot of like kind experiences, and I think that's kind of what's drawing us to him. And I think it's gonna be a fun podcast. We're gonna learn a lot from you. So we're appreciative. And if you like this content and like some of our other stuff and you're following us, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, share it to your friends. That's how we get known and produce more cool content like this and do fun stuff. And
then go to his page and follow him too.
For sure.
Please.
So, Dropout Multi-Millionaire. You're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and
LinkedIn,
every other channel you can
everything
think.
you can imagine.
Yeah. And what's neat about Brian over here, he's done something in a short amount of time that Eric and I are just banging our head against the wall on. He's been on Fox News, CNBC,
Fox Business,
Daily Mail,
New York Times,
Glenn Beck. Some
Beck.
of the people I follow, I'm like, how do you get on these?
Yeah.
So after watching a lot of your shows, we wanted to fly out here. We wanted to, learn a little bit more about you. You're kind of a mysterious guy. On these shows, you hear about you talking about your $16 sandwich. I think that's what it was that went viral, right? And then you're like, what does this guy actually own? So we're going to ask some questions. We're going to learn a lot more about Brian today. And then we're going to also learn about what Eric and I always like to talk about is learn the pros and cons of being a business owner and what you do every day and day in and day out to have a Ferrari, to have a Cirrus and whatever other toys you...
Lake House
and Beach Home and all these other things that you were able to accumulate by your being successful.
It's rock and roll, man.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we like to try to get out is a lot of people talk about the good. Everybody talks about how this is so easy and this is so good, right? And nobody shows the bad part about business ownership and being an entrepreneur. And we like to share a lot of our experiences that it could help people. And a lot of times what helps people is your mistakes, right? So if you're not learning from your mistakes, then you're screwing up. So I like to ask a lot of those questions too that are related to some of the problems that you may have had and how you overcome them. So
a question for you. When did you start? How old were you when you started your entrepreneurship career?
21. I started my first landscaping business back then. Yeah.
On the ground floor.
I took a job working for a landscaping company mowing grass because I wasn't qualified to do anything else. And then after like 2 weeks of mowing grass, killing myself, making $4 an hour, I was sitting in the truck adding up all the accounts we cut and looking at all the money we collected. And I thought, this guy's making $2,000 a week and paying me $160. One of us is stupid.
You're on the wrong side.
And I knew who it was. And so I literally, with zero experience, quit, bought a lawnmower, a weed eater, and a blower, and went into business. No idea what I was doing.
Right out of high school. I mean,
I was out right off active duty.
Oh, yeah. You went to active duty. So one thing I learned about Brian over here, I think you're the only one I've ever met, that he went from the Air Force to the Army.
Yes.
That's another cool fun fact. If you follow Brian over here, he was in the military. He went from the Air Force to the Army. I think you're the only person I've ever heard that's ever done that.
I saw somebody on TikTok that did it. He was about as dumb as me.
So you started out in the landscape business.
Yeah.
You built that up.
I did.
On the way over, you mentioned that you had 4 franchises. Seven franchises.
Yep.
And then we're probably killing it.
You know, I made every mistake in the book. I didn't know what I was doing, and I made 2 critical errors in that business that eventually took it down. The first was that 80% of my revenue was coming from a single source, which was a giant multifamily developer. We were doing installation on new apartment complexes and doing maintenance, so it was 80% of my revenue. And the vice president of finance they just hired had a son who did landscaping, and so they fired me. So his son could do it. Well, when they fired me, I had 6 months worth of warranty, so they decided they weren't going to pay me either. So they weren't going to pay me for 6 months. And my second mistake was I had no cash in the bank. I had no reserves. I had no backup. I was living at 101% of my personal lifestyle. And when they didn't pay me that month, everything fell apart. I couldn't pay my vendors. I couldn't pay my contractors. I couldn't pay my material bills. I bounced 132 checks that month to all of my vendors and contractors. The bank came in and sent me a nice letter and said, Mr. Will, you are no longer welcome here. Please do not come back. Your account's closed. I had to end up selling my house, my cars, and everything I own to get out of that debt. All my business with one vendor and no financial backup to save me. 2 giant mistakes I've never made again.
And you went from 7, or you said how many?
We went from 7 franchises to... I ended up having to sell the franchises off to the individual guys to try to raise cash also.
Oh, gosh.
So the entire company collapsed.
From hero to zero.
Negative, not even zero. I was negative.
So if you're listening to him, you just heard 2 valuable lessons, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket and save some money for the reserves for situations that you just can't account for. And, you know, we talk about that all the time, is that we build into things that we don't know, right? What did you have a name for it? You put in that little extra.
Know.
I don't fucking know.
That's the redneck side of me.
Yeah.
There's a line on the bottom. My bank's like, do you really have that in there? I was like, yeah, there's a 10, 15% contingency fund, and then there's another 10%. I don't fucking know. And if it still works, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's anything that we get into that we don't know.
Yeah. And I don't call it that, but have the same thing today.
So you did your franchises, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go quite so well. What happened out of that?
That company collapsed. And at the time, the exact same time, I found out my daughter had atrial septal defect, which is a hole in her heart, and needed open heart surgery.
Oh, gosh.
But because my business collapsed and I couldn't pay my bills, I hadn't paid my health insurance, so I had no way to pay for it.
Oh, my gosh.
So a buddy that I knew came to see me and said, I can get you a policy. And by the way, why don't you start selling health insurance with me? And I said, okay. So I started selling health insurance, and that's what launched into my first venture capital exit. That's a little longer story, but yeah. Landscaping to insurance to venture capital.
So tell us, one thing that when you're building this franchise, right, and everybody thinks you're killing it, all your family, your wife, and your friends, and You got the house, you got probably the cars, and you're killing it in your side your head too.
Sure.
And then you go to zero. Tell me how that feels.
Depressing, horrendous. What is wrong with me? What's wrong with my life? I hate my life. What the hell am I going to do now? I have no formal education. I failed out of high school. I have no job skills. What the hell am I going to do now? I can remember sitting in a restaurant with my wife and I was slumped over like this. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss.
I think what's interesting is I hear that a lot, and I've been in a similar situation in my life, and I think right there, in my opinion, is where the entrepreneur is born, right? Because you didn't fold up, right? You got your back was against the wall. You're in a position where you don't know what to do, where to go, where to turn. And you're like, I'm not going to give up though.
Well, my wife looked at me and she said, you better figure it out because we got a 3-year-old.
Yep.
And I was like, okay.
And that's probably what got you through it.
And you move forward. As I like to say, the greatest secret of success that you will ever learn if you're an entrepreneur is no matter what is going on in your life, just take another step forward.
Yep.
Just keep moving forward. And this is the same thing I run triathlons, you just keep moving forward. When business gets tough, you just keep moving forward. Always keep moving forward and it will eventually work itself out.
Yep.
I was listening to a Navy SEAL on a podcast one time, and he said, the guy was like, how did you make it? And he was like, one step at a time.
Yeah.
One step at a time. Yep.
That's what he said. I just
got to go to that point right there.
Yep, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So you start selling insurance?
Yeah.
I always say if I'm going to go broke, I'm going to be a financial advisor or sell insurance because everybody has to have it.
Yeah.
You have to insure everything nowadays.
And it's a very lucrative business. I made a lot of money in insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never known a broke insurance salesman.
I was still doing landscaping during the day. I called it me a truck and a shovel because I'd lost everything else. I was just out digging holes by myself. And then I was selling insurance at night. And within probably 3 months, I was making more money selling insurance than I was landscaping. So I quit. Went full time into insurance, left the agency, started my own agency, and a year and a half later sold it to a venture capital group.
Really?
Yeah. Just crazy.
So you went from landscape to insurance to...
sold that to a venture capital group, and then we developed what today is called state-based exchange enrollment platforms. So if you ever bought Obamacare, which is health insurance in the marketplace,
I've had Obamacare, yep.
Some states have their own state-based exchange, and some use Obamacare. So one of my companies actually runs the platform behind all the state-based exchange platforms out there. Another one of the companies I sold is the backbone for essentially 1-800-MEDICARE and Medicare.com, providing all the Medicare data.
So let's back up. So as far as it sounds like it was a software platform. Is that what it was?
I built an insurance agency selling insurance, and they bought it. Well, once they bought it, we came to the realization very quickly that the retail side of the health insurance world was not where we were going to make our money. And so myself and the CTO of this company at the time developed a platform to sell to insurance carriers to allow their agents to enroll people into their individual platforms. And we sold that software like it had never been done before. We sold it very quickly. Largest insurance carriers in the company bought it. That company ended up going public.
Really? And you were the founder?
And went back private. Well, they bought my company.
Yeah.
So I was just a roll-up inside of it.
I gotcha.
So how many companies have you sold?
2 venture capital deals, 1 private equity.
And then multiple restaurants?
I've had 15 restaurants. We'll exit those next year.
15 total restaurants?
15 total. I've got 4 today, yeah.
That's a whole nother story. I mean, your story's so interesting because it sounds like to me throughout your whole career you've been knocked down over and over and done some stupid things like I have and Eric has too, by helping friends, helping family, buying funerals,
divorces, houses,
cars. Do you do that still today?
No.
Back to those learning from the mistake, right?
That's not totally true. I think I paid for another divorce about 2 years ago.
Hiring friends,
funding companies for friends that never pay you back and steal money from you.
Done that.
Yeah.
Love it.
So how do you think you were able to overcome all that? For you guys watching out there, I'm sure that you guys had this great idea sitting in the garage or sitting on the beach or had a great friend that you thought you're great friends, right? And then you get in business together. and things change.
Yeah.
Or you start a business and you hire that key individual, they're doing great, and then they start coming to you, need more money, need more time off, needing things paid for, and they've been great to this point, and you feel like that you're obligated and you're committed to them. You start helping them out, and then that relationship starts changing.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Like, I mean,
so
we deal with it a lot, and we struggle with it right now.
we're still struggling with it.
the thing is, it's because we're nice people and we
Yes.
want to help, right? And one of the things we talked about earlier was the money that I invest into these people or these deals is always money that came from my income and not my assets, right? So I'm willing to risk my income, but not my assets. And so if I lose it, I always tell myself, well, it's not really going to affect my life long term. And if it's not going to affect my life long term, then I'm going to kind of get over it.
And I think that's a good lesson to kind of explain to you guys that are listening. So what he's saying is that, he's got one business or maybe a couple that are funding his life, right? His everyday expenses that he has to have to live, a house, right? A car, food, kids, anything along those lines that he has to have. And then everything that he makes over and above what he has to have is kind of what we'll call it play money. It's not play money, but it's real money that he's taken, and he's using that money to try to reinvest or invest into something and grow that into more income. So he's substantial with what he has, and everything he has over that, he uses that to try to better his financial gain. Right?
My wife always says, Josh, you want everybody to have what you have.
Yeah.
But these people are not willing to put the time and effort and sacrifice in to get where you're at.
Right.
So they're not you.
Right.
So she always, every time I do something, she goes, they're not you.
We want them to be us.
If they are you, they don't need that.
Right.
Because you never asked for that.
Right.
You did it yourself. You showed up. Nobody had to tell you. You didn't go to your boss asking for somebody to pay for your shit.
Right.
You did it yourself. You figured out a way. You got creative.
Yeah.
You signed the dotted line. Right. So for me, it's always, I want other people to live the American dream that I feel like I'm living. Right. When you come from nothing and you get something, everything's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure when you bought this car and that house and that plane, you were like, holy crap, I cannot believe I'm buying these things.
When we sold our second company, I became the mortgage holder. I bought 3 houses for 3 of my key employees and became the mortgage holder. 2 of them never paid me back. And then when I went to collect, I was the bad guy because all I wanted them to do was pay the damn mortgage on the house for the money that I loaned them. And they were like, well, you have money. I don't need to pay you.
Yep. It's entitlement.
And you're then the bad guy. I've always been fascinated how when I try to help somebody and they don't want to pay me back, I'm the bad guy.
It happens like that every time.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
So I'm going to jump into a little bit more personable. I know we're skipping around all the place, but part of this story is you have a wife.
No, I'm divorced.
Divorced.
Yeah.
2 kids.
2 children.
One sitting over there.
Yep.
Inform me that he's not doing the entrepreneurial world.
No interest.
Daughter.
Yep. She works in nonprofit.
Yeah. Complete opposite.
100% opposite.
How did that happen?
Okay, so here's a sad story. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So my marriage started to have issues a couple of years before we sold the company, but we were starting to make a lot of money. And then we ended up selling the companies, made a crap load of money, and my marriage fell apart and we got divorced. My daughter associated at the time money with divorce. And she became anti-money. She would not shop at the mall. She'd go to Goodwill. She wanted nothing to do with making money. She started volunteering down at the shelter, the food bank. She went to college and went into nonprofit. And today she is development director for the Salvation Army. And she raises money for homeless shelters and for the Salvation Army, for the drug programs and all that. That's what she does.
Wow.
My son, who is much more like his mother than he is me, just has that super compassionate brain and mentality and mannerisms and everything, which is completely the opposite of me. And he's getting his master's in divinity, and he's going to be a hospice pastor. He has no interest in business either. Plus, he's watched me go through a lot of shit.
That's what he did for me. He's like, I can't go through what my dad's went through.
I mean, much like y'all, we get sued all the time, and we've had people. I had hate groups on social media. I don't know about y'all, but I actually had a hate group that we've had to shut down several times, and they would attack him on the hate groups as well as me.
That's what happens when you get known a little bit more than us. Then you get hate groups.
Yeah.
So you've already had hate groups on social media.
Brian Will sucks on Instagram.
I love the airplanes in the background because it makes it real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? We had another guy, Billy Visco. I saw it. Posted. You look at his comments on our deal. I would say 50% of those are what, negative?
Yeah. Always.
And his whole channel is developed on like being a positive influence on
like, how does that work?
families. I think people they have a bad experience.
Yeah.
Family or positive people, and they just want people to be miserable.
Well, let's go back to what he was saying, and I'm not going to pry too much.
Can you hear us, Alex? Oh, we're good. Okay.
Let's go back to what he was saying. You know, your daughter took the money as negative, right? And she kind of basically blamed it on that, right? And I think it's interesting that you talk about this and the divorce, because we had talked about it in the past about how imperative it is to, if you're getting into business and you've never been into business before and you have a spouse or a very serious, relationship with a girlfriend, and how important it is to have that, that home life where they understand and do your best job to explain what your daily life is going to be like, and don't sugarcoat it. Because I made a little mistake of kind of sugarcoating what I thought business was going to be like. And it was nowhere near, right? The amount of effort that I put in, it never stops, right? Yeah. I'm always thinking about
I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to be here more.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to be present with you more.
Right.
And we're going to have this big fancy house, and we're going to be able to go do all these vacations, and I'm going to be working part-time, and everybody's going to run your company. It's going to be perfect.
Exactly. So, and I'm not prying on that situation. I don't know if it exactly tied into that, if that was the reasonings behind it, right? But I think it's important, again, for these people that are watching, that, to be good communicator and a clear communicator, and just do the best job you can do. It isn't always going to work out, right? But I've found it very fruitful of when I'm starting to see things coming in the future, to explain it and explain that, I'm going to be busy 24/7, right? I'm going to be thinking about things. She may be talking and I'm looking at you, but I'm not thinking about whatever it is that you're talking about, right? My brain is over here thinking about the last transaction we made and what went wrong and how I'm going to fix it. You know what I mean? I'm sure you probably know what I mean.
So I'll give you the story, right? So, I came from nothing. And my only goal from the age of 16 was to make a lot of money and be rich and successful and have all the toys. That was my only goal in life. And when I got married, unfortunately, I failed for a long time. And particularly when you're an entrepreneur, when you fail, that makes you actually drive harder, right? You laser focus in, you drive harder, you shut everything else out in your world. And unfortunately, I shut my wife out, and she worked for me, which even made it worse, because in my mind, she was just another employee.
Oh, gosh.
And so when I would yell at her in the office, it would crush her. And to me, I'm just like, I don't understand what your problem is. You're just like everybody else here. And so I never treated her like my wife. I treated her like an employee for 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, when we sold the companies, and suddenly, have you ever called your bank and just to hear what the balance is? And it's really, really good. There goes another one.
I love it. When you're on your own plane, you leave at 10. You don't leave at 5.
That's right. You leave whenever you want to.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
looking
ticket.
at these people walking out the door. I'm like,
what do they do?
We're doing the wrong thing still.
Well, I remember we sold this company. I remember telling her at the time, I said, look, we now have all the money we ever need for the rest of our life. We can travel the world. We can play. We can have fun. And she said, you've been an ass to me for 20 years. I don't want to travel the world, play, and have fun with you anymore. I want a divorce.
Wow.
And so I tell entrepreneurs this all the time, and I'll sell it to you too. Be careful that you don't win the world and lose everything that's important in the process. And that's a tough lesson, because as entrepreneurs, we start businesses to create the lifestyle, and then we end up working 100 hours a week and never get the lifestyle, never see our family, and never see our children. And then we lose the connection and we've lost everything.
Yeah.
That is a critical error. I mean, look at the divorce rate of 37%, but 57% for entrepreneurs. It's because we're out there, we're trying to create the lifestyle while our family's going, we would rather have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Right?
wife says it all the time.
Mine does
Rather
too.
have you.
Mine
Don't
says
need
the same
another
thing.
couple $100,000. Don't need another $1 million.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my divorce is an entrepreneurial divorce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
You
so you
know,
had
that's
to
difficult.
rebuild that too.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And we're great friends today. She actually manages my Florida real estate company. But yeah, I've been 12 years. I've not been remarried.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's me.
Well, hey, we're still kind of on the personal talk, and Josh and I were talking about this on the way over here on the plane flight, but you had mentioned a lot about ADHD and it being a superpower.
Yes.
Will you kind of share what you mean to the
I gotta
audience?
interrupt you real quick
What?
because I've
Is that
never
the
been
ADHD?
diagnosed with anything, right? I'm like go to the. My wife works in the medical field. I'm anti anything medical. I'm going to self-diagnose myself with anything, right? And then I was watching your video. I was like, I found myself like, yep. Like, is this guy talking to me?
So I tell people this all the time. The difference between ADD and ADHD is what most people don't understand.
I don't understand.
ADD is attention deficit disorder. It means you can't focus on anything. ADHD is attention deficit hyper disorder, which means you focus on everything. Like right now, I'm struggling to talk to you because those airplanes are running out there.
Me too.
And Alex is staring at me, right? So I notice everything that's going on and my mind is bouncing from here to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. And I'm focused on everything, which gives me a lack of focus on something, right? Now, the good part about that, and y'all are good examples of this, and the reason I can manage multiple companies, and the thing that you need to learn about ADHD is, I'm going to let that plane fall out for 1 second, because it is so distracting to my ADHD that it is hard for me to even think.
Oh, I've been watching your son read over there, wondering what he's reading.
Probably about the Bible, because that's what he's studying, because he has to finish his master's in divinity.
Are most of these, I'm looking at, there's a lot of SR-20s in here.
Yeah, because the 20 is the training aircraft.
Are there a lot of these guys training?
Yeah. This is a training facility.
They're trading at an old age
A lot of them, yeah.
to get their, I mean, they could have their medical taken away. And
That just means they made some money and they now want to do with the things that are fun in life,
yeah.
you know? So anyway, the superpower of ADHD is that if you can understand how to use it and build a team underneath you that can handle the detail work of what you do, then that allows you at the ADHD 30,000 foot level to look at a company for 5 minutes, identify the problem, and let somebody go fix it. And look at this one for 5 minutes, let somebody go fix it. And look at that one for 5 minutes and tell somebody else to go fix it. As long as you've got a good team under you that can execute on the details, it allows you to be able to focus on a lot of different companies effectively without you getting bogged down in the details of having to actually do it. Does that
You
make
hit the
sense?
nail on the head because I hate details.
Right. We're builder fixers. We're not managers.
Builder fixers and not managers.
I build and I fix. I identify problems, but then you have to go fix it. My famous saying in my companies is something's wrong. And they're like, what? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just telling you something's wrong. Go find out. And they'll come back and go, yeah, such and such was wrong. How'd you know? I'm like, I don't know. I see 1,000 things and I know something doesn't fit in my brain puzzle.
I do that every day.
Yeah. I look at the
call it
world
being engaged.
I look at the world as a puzzle. Everything I look at's a puzzle, right? Whether it's a profit and loss statement or an operation or whatever. And if the pieces of the puzzles don't fit, it sticks out in my head. And I can see something's wrong, but if I'm going to go fix it, that's never going to happen because I'll get distracted in 5 minutes and I'll be looking at a TikTok video, right? But at the point of there's something wrong, I need you to go figure out what it is. As long as you have a good team under you, ADHD is powerful. Too many people, I bet you see this in your business. I call it myopic focus. You give them a task, they can execute. You give them 3 tasks, 2 of them won't get done.
100%.
100%. Because their brain's focused on one, where your brain's focused on everything, which is why you're more powerful running the company. As long as you have people you fix that, and you fix that, and come back and let me know it's done.
100%.
When you expect people to think like you will fail every single time.
They'll never meet your expectations.
Never. Let them focus on one thing at a time. And when I do my coaching and consulting with entrepreneurs, it's one of the things I tell them. Your brain's working at 1,000 miles an hour and you've got 5 new ideas today on top of the 5 new you had yesterday. Your staff's still trying to execute on the 5 from yesterday and you're already throwing new stuff at them and they're going, I don't know how to do this. Let me finish one task at a time, right? Again, you need to manage your own ADHD expectations and let people do what you give them to do.
So what do you do on that? You just leave the office? Because for me, I want to get it out. I'm excited. You get pumped up about the idea that just came in your little head.
Yeah.
And you want to tell somebody like Eric or tell somebody like, because it's in your head right now. You want to get it out.
You confuse the hell out of your staff. You frustrate them, and that slows them down, and they can't accomplish what you told them to do yesterday and the day before.
You're 1,000% right.
That's exactly how it works.
So how do you fix it?
You've got to have either somebody telling you, hey, yo, dial it down a notch. Let them finish what they did yesterday. Write it down. Talk to him. But if you're bombarding your staff with more and more and more, shit's just not going to get done. They don't think like you. And you've got to understand that.
And you have to have the right staff around you that has enough backbone to come in there and tell you to slow it down.
They probably won't, although they might, but they probably won't.
Yep.
Because they're trying to please you.
Yep.
The companies I consult with, I see it all the time. The entrepreneur running the company is like, bam, 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 bam. And I walk in and go, dial it down. Because I can tell you, I've talked to them individually and they're just like, he's coming at me 100 miles an hour. I don't know what to do.
So when you consult, let's go into that real quick. What is your average size company that you consult for?
I call it the 2 to 30 million range. Most of them are 10 to 20. There are people that can do it in smaller, but you have to have enough money to pay me. And be able to execute on what I tell you to do in order for it to be effective. Yeah.
So 10 to 20 million is kind of your sweet spot.
That's a sweet spot.
And why is it that number?
They have enough money and they have enough infrastructure and they have enough sales that we can accomplish things without having to invest a bunch of capital or hire a bunch of people or, do anything else that we need to do to fix.
And what would you do if Eric and I hired you for on-call? We say, hey, we're in that 10 to 20 million range. Yeah. What would you do?
So my process with consulting is that everything starts at the profit and loss statement. Everything in your company. I don't even have to step foot in your building to tell you what's right and what's wrong in your company, right? You give me 24 months worth of profit and loss statements, P&Ls. I will fix them the way I want to fix them. I will identify all the core metrics, which are the drivers of revenue, GPM, and net. And those are generally 5 to 10 core metric drivers. And then we will track the patterns. We call this historical pattern recognition over all of your core metrics. And it will show you exactly where your business was and exactly where it is. And then it will show you exactly how it got there, whether it's going up or it's going down. And then from that pattern recognition, we can reverse engineer the next 12 to 24 months by simply following the pattern that's already been established. And if you see things like this or things like this, then we go back and say, hey, in May of last year, what happened? What drove this spike up or spike down? And you go, well, we made such and such decision. Okay, well, that was a bad decision. Or that was a good decision, right? So we can track where you came from, where you are, and by tracking those patterns, we can identify where you are and where you're going. Now, once we do that, and we know that the levers that drive either the revenue, the GPM, or the net, then we start making decisions around the levers to start tweaking what we're doing. This makes sense. So I'll give you an example. I did a franchise company in the home cleaning industry. I took their top 2 franchisees, their middle 2, and their bottom 2, and we tracked 11 metrics. Why are they growing? Why are they stagnant? And why are they losing money? And over 11 metrics, the only discernible difference was they were spending 8% of their revenue on marketing. They were spending 5 and they were spending 3. 3 was a loss. 5 overcame the natural attrition of customers and 8 overcame the attrition and grew. And that was the only discernible difference. And when I went into their franchise convention, I said, how many of you like to have the growth of so-and-so? And they were like, yeah. I said, he spends 8% gross on marketing. How much are you spending? That's the only difference, right? So when we identify those metrics, we now know what's going on in your company. Then we can go in and start fixing stuff, whether it's sales or operations or execution or whatever.
Yeah, because we're in that kind of, in that world in our business, our sales, we think it's our sales. Mm-hmm. It's just chaotic. Our CRM's messed up. Our inside sales team is not structured correctly. Our outside sales team it's accountability.
It's
accountability.
Our systems that I put in place doesn't lend to
holding them accountable. For example, we don't know how the system's set up. We can't generate a report that shows how many quotes got sent out for how many dollars.
Yep.
Right.
That's the second track, which is sales and sales management. So the first, here's a question I ask both of you. What business are you in?
The rental business and service business.
No,
the service business.
that is the product that your business sells. You are in the data business.
Yeah.
Data drives everything in your company.
I agree.
Irregardless of your product, it is data that will either make or break what you're doing in the future. We talked a little bit about private equity. Private equity, if they come in to look at your business, all they care about is data.
That's it.
It's data, 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 because the data tells you everything there is to know and everything you need to do. And it will also tell you your ability to grow in the future. So one of the things we have to do is start breaking your data down into what we call the core metric dashboards so that you can track that stuff. And as an entrepreneur founder, you should not be coming into your business and looking at massive spreadsheets of reports, because your brain, by the way, isn't going to be able to focus on all that data. You need to have all of your data broken down into those key cores, and those key core metrics have to be within percentage buckets. And so when you walk in every single morning and you look at what happened yesterday, it needs to be within, if it's 7% is ideal and yesterday was 5 or 8, then you can say, oh shit, we're 2% behind in this bucket. We need to figure out what happened here. If I have 10 buckets at the end of the month and 9 of them are good and 1 is bad, that's where I focus my time.
So, tough question. Your podcast is Dropout Multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Right? Why would I, as a business owner, hire a dropout multimillionaire? How did you gain that skill set? Because listening to you talk, there's people with MBA degrees in finance that literally cannot tell me what you're telling me right now. I
consult for those people, yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I hire you? And then how would I know that you're legit?
It's a good question. Most people hire me this is interesting. Most people hire me for sales, to come in and do sales training, right? Because I've been doing sales training for 20 years. We've sold billions of dollars worth of products and services across the country. And I can build sales training programs and sales training management programs. What people don't understand is that sales is a part of the funnel. It is not the primary driver, right? Your company starts with a budget. That budget turns into, gets allocated down to marketing. Marketing is then allocated across multiple channels. Each channel has to be allocated a certain percentage of the budget. Then each one of those channels has to be tracked from a ROAS, return on advertising spend, at a profitable conversion rate. And then each one of those leads that are generated off of those channels needs to go into the sales team. That sales team needs to be converting those leads at a profitable ROAS, right? So that you have a profitable sale. And each one of those salespeople is actually an individual profit and loss statement on their own.
So how did you learn all this?
And so, hold on. So when somebody says, I need you to come help me sell, they don't realize that helping you sell has nothing to do with the sale itself. It's the entire funnel all the way down to where we get the actual product out at a profitable conversion. So when I come in, we start at the top with marketing, with allocation, then into the sales process, and then at the bottom, the sales management dashboards. And by the time we're done, they realize that this is an entire operational deal, and we need to do a lot more shit with this company. And that's how it works almost every single time.
So tell us one of your success stories. I mean, like, you came into a company and...
I get the very last... I just finished a contract, or I am in 2 weeks, with a window and door company out in Seattle. They hired me because their conversion rate was 27%, and they wanted it to be 30%. And so I went in, I did a speech to their executive team at a offsite meeting, and I had already broken down all the data in their company. I said, do you realize this and this and this and this? Do you realize if you fired your bottom 2 salespeople, you'd have a 30% conversion anyway? And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, because the conversion rate on the leads that they're taking is so low that it's dragging the entire overall percentage of the company down.
Something so simple.
And they're actually selling at a loss. You think it's revenue and it's good, and it's actually loss revenue. And if you would fire them, take their leads and move them up into the guys that are profitable, because I ran a P&L on all of them, you would go to a 30% close rate and you would generate X number more business. And they were like, oh my gosh. So they hired me for a 6-month contract. So the first thing I went in and I said, I'll give you a great example. They said, well, what do we do? I said, well, let's talk about this and this and this. I said, in last year, how many leads did you generate? How many in-home presentations? They said 2,000. I said, great. How many did you sell? He said, 600. I said, great. What'd you do with the other 1,400? They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, 1,400 people saw your ad, made the call, set an appointment, had somebody come out and do a presentation, got a price, and didn't buy. What'd you do with those? They're like, nothing. I'm like, how many of those were done by those terrible salespeople at the bottom? They're like, we don't know. I said, here's what I want to do, an experiment. It was December 15th, I think. And they're trying to push for the end of the year. I said, give me the last 200 that are over 90 days old, throw them into the dialer, call them, offer those people an additional 10% discount, and see how many of them will reset up an appointment. Okay. We sold $500,000 worth of windows and doors in 2 weeks just by recalling people that they had never closed in the first place.
And so,
but
Eric and I are in the
they're not a
business.
genius. They just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
You have the experience to
simple.
come in there and change these things. What would be our first step to hire somebody like you? Because we talk about it all the time being entrepreneurs. Like, we know that we recognize that we need to hire somebody with a very specific skill set to come in there and design that funnel.
Data analysis, yes.
But we just don't know how to seek out those individuals. Because you hear
very
one thing
difficult.
that you and I talked about on the way over when Eric was with us, but was talking about all these courses. You spend $150,000 on all these masterminds.
Guilty.
Last year.
And all these courses, and it sounds like you already have the skill set, and you already know what to do. Somebody like Eric and I were like, we don't know who to hire and who to trust, because you go out and spend, $15, $20, $30, $40,000, $5,000. It doesn't really, the number's really irrelevant. It's the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, is this guy going to change?
Right.
Is he going to put the time and effort? Does he have the expertise? Is it going to be a catch like you mentioned earlier, where you spend 10 and then they need another 20 to get you to the next step,
Yeah,
and then
the
they need another
4-step
50?
funnel.
The 4-step funnel. How would I know if I'm in an entrepreneurship world and I know I hit that plateau and I need to bring outside counsel? How would I know that the dropout multimillionaire is going to be the go-to guy?
Anybody you hire, you need to vet really, really hard to find out if they've ever done what it is that you want to do. And that doesn't mean that they need to have built a fence and whatever
Container
else.
and portable
Container
toilet game.
company, because that, I call that the 3 levels of consulting and coaching. There's 3 different types. There is the relational, which is what most masterminds are. How you doing, man? What's going on? How do you feel? What's going on in the company? You doing okay? That's relational stuff. There's technical. Like if I wanted to build a fence company and I didn't know how to build a fence company, I'd come talk to you. I give you $10,000 to come in and teach me how to build a fence company. Teach me how to build fences. And then there's tactical. And tactical is straight business. It's operations, it's profit and loss analysis, and it's sales. That's why I've said I don't need to step foot in your business. I just need to look at your profit and loss statements, build the picture, build the data analysis, and then we come in and look at the business before we move forward. So whoever you hire to coach you needs to be good at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to be technical? I want to start a gym. I need to get a gym guy to tell me what equipment to buy and how to set up my membership. Or do you need to rebuild your profit and loss statements to be more profitable and increase your sales and redo your operations, right? That's what I do. So make sure you get the right person with the experience. And by the way, there are a lot of coaches that say they have that experience and they don't, because they've never actually done it. So find somebody who's actually done it and then bring them in. And
So you mentioned that you have had companies that were not successful. And we're sitting here talking about this very neat and a skill set that I highly respect. What part of that did you not implement on your own businesses?
I've failed more times than most people. And every one of those failures taught me really, really important lessons that I've carried with me for the rest of my life. I've said this too. Failure in business is not a negative. If you took the failure, you learned from it, implement it, and became successful in the future, right? So it's the old adage I know you've heard, you have to fail to succeed. You've heard that?
100%.
That's
Yep.
bullshit.
I love it.
It's bullshit. Do you guys know people who have tried business over and over and failed?
Yes, actually I have.
Right. You know why? They never learned. Failure leads to failure. Learning from that failure leads to success. You have to fail to succeed is bullshit, because all you're going to do if you fail is fail again if you never learned. But if you fail and learn, I call it the FLFLS University, fail, learn, succeed. Right? If you fail and learn, and then there's, what I call the 100 steps from where you are to where you want to be. you got to fail maybe 100 times. I started at 0 on my ladder of 100. Some people start at 50. If you've got, an MBA and you've had experience in the past and you've got money, you might start at 90. I started at 0. I had 100 steps to learn, but I failed, but learned every single time. And my business track went like this. And then boom, it went straight up.
So when you walk into these businesses and you don't have education, formal education, you have probably a PhD, multiple of them in entrepreneurship worlds and failures and successes. Do you find that people with high education, there's kind of a barrier there? Like they kind of be like, I have an MBA in finance. What are you coming in here to tell me?
Most people are like us. I mean, business owners that are successful, most of them are like us. We're just guys out there hustling. We're trying to figure it out. I don't see a lot of PhDs out there starting a small business.
No. They're too smart.
They overthink it.
They're calculating it too much.
Even guys in the 20 to 30 to 40 to $50 million range are guys that were like us that have created some success but hit a wall and they can't figure out how to get to that next level. And that wall in 9 out of 10 cases is the data analysis, I'm telling you right now. They don't understand that they're in the data business, not whatever product is they sell. And they're not properly analyzing the data. That's the biggest challenge with growth. And that is the key, by the way, to private equity. The data is the key to taking it to the next level.
So let's talk about private equity real quick. So you consult with these $10 to $20 million kind of threshold range companies. Mm-hmm. We're at that threshold. Serious. We're at that threshold.
Yep.
When you're obviously starting your company and your personal guarantee and everything. Mm-hmm. For you guys that don't know what that means, you're signing your life away and they can take all your crap that you think it has any value, right? And it can go away real quick.
I love this guy I saw online. He goes, you think you own your house? Don't pay your taxes for a couple of years.
Exactly.
You no longer own your house.
Exactly. So we're at that threshold. I'm PG&E, Eric's PG, and we got them everywhere, right? On equipment, on business loans, etc. Yep. Do you think it is smart for somebody to seek out private equity or venture capital or family office money? Or do you think it's smart for us just to continue on our track, believe in our business model, put the systems in? Because for me, I'm at this point where it doesn't really scare me to sign the dotted line. I believe in my system and in my company so much, and we're so diverse, it doesn't really scare me at this point.
Yep.
I'm so numb to it.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm all in anyway. What's another dotted line?
Yep.
So on the way over here, for you guys that are in our situation, we're in that, 20 million mark-ish, 15, 20 million-ish range. And we're like, do we go out and seek outside money? And you hear all these horror stories. They come in there and they take over your business. They tell you how to run your business. They kick you out of your own business. They outsmart you.
Yep.
They do all these things. What would you do in our instance?
First of all, those things happen because you didn't have a good broker working with you to not only package up your business, but make sure everybody understands what's going to happen post-sale. So the first problem with most of these people is they did it on their own, and that's a huge mistake. As entrepreneurs, sometimes we think we're so smart, we're going to do things and save the money by not bringing the right people in, and it's the first mistake we make.
100%.
Secondarily, the answer to your question is, Josh, how fast do you want to grow? And here's why I say that. So my next book that's coming out, it'll be out end of the month.
What's the name of it?
It's called The Invisible Multimillionaire.
Okay.
And it's scaling your business, preparing for an exit, and creating generational wealth.
By the way, not to interrupt you, Eric and I were getting out of his car, right? I never wrote a book. I can't write a freaking paragraph. I'm using ChatGPT for everything. This guy, Brian over here, pops out 6 or 7 books. He's like, by the way, I brought some books for you I wrote. I said, books? Yeah. I was like, how many of these things have you wrote? How many have you wrote?
This will be the 4th one coming out this month.
4 books.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they weren't like
2 Wall Street Journal bestsellers, 1 USA Today bestseller.
They weren't small books. They were like
these are big books,
big books. Yeah. I said, how long does it take you to write one of these books? He said he writes for 10 to 12 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. For 20 days over a period of time.
That's still crazy.
Because my ADHD, I can focus and then I get distracted for a week.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
But I got to be on my own. I normally I can't do it at home. I got to go to the beach, turn everything off, shut the blinds, and sit in front of my computer, and laser focus for 12 hours.
Now we figured out why he's not married again. You can't laser focus for 12 hours on shit. She called you 12 times. Why don't you answer your phone?
So He's not only a consultant, he does write books, and they're thick books, and I'm going to read them, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to get more copies of all
and
them.
I'd be happy to take them. So, will you sign them?
Sure,
Perfect.
100%.
Yeah.
So, let's go back to this.
All right, so I'm having dinner with my friend Jeff a couple of months ago when we come up with this idea, the or the invisible multimillionaire. And Jeff, who has done $1 billion worth of private equity deals in the last 5 years, he does a deal a month, selling companies that are anywhere from 15 to 100 million in revenue. And he's creating generational wealth for one person a month, basically. And Jeff says to me, the problem that most entrepreneurs have is they do exactly what you're doing, is they build their business one person at a time, one brick at a time. They go out and get conventional loans. They go to the bank, and they don't understand that what's really holding them back from hyper growth and from hyper generational wealth in a very short time frame is capital. And the way to get that capital, the best way to get it is private equity. Now, in order to get private equity, there are barriers to entry. We talked about this a little bit. One is you need at least $2 million EBITDA before you can get in, right? To become what maybe a platform type business. So you need a business that's big enough. Then you need the numbers to fit, 2 million EBITDA. And then you need a good person that knows how to come in, recast earnings, package the business up, build the book, has all the contacts in the industry that can take you out and sell your company. But when that happens, they will come in and throw unlimited resources at you and take your $15 million company. One of the examples in the book is he took it from 15 to 150 million in revenue through acquisitions over a period of 3 years. And now the small percentage that guy had at he was 100% at 15 million. He's now 20% of a $150 million company.
I'll
right?
take that all day.
You get the second and third bite at the apple. You make more money on the back end than you do at the front end, but you need unlimited capital to do that. And that's where private equity comes in. But it's having the base structure, which you guys appear to have, and then bringing the right person in to package it up and sell it for you. This is where you get a call from a private equity firm, and Jeff's clients do this, and they'll go, "Hey, Jeff, I got a call." And he's like, "No, please, for God's sakes, don't take the call. Because you're going to screw this deal up. You're going to cost yourself millions of dollars because you don't know how to package it the way I know how to package it."
I've had 2 private equity calls, one of which I had was on the phone for 2.5 hours yesterday.
Yeah, that's what he calls the boom or bust phase. And if you don't say the right thing, do the right thing, and give them the right data, either you're going to get a lowball offer or they're going to blow you out of the water and you've already lost them.
Yep.
So
good information to know.
there are rules to that. It's a game. Private equity is a game. Venture capital is a game. Angel investing is a game. It's all a game. Just like our business is a game.
So you would encourage, it's like anything else. You got to have the right situation, the right team, the right platform to be successful.
Your business has to get structured properly. You have to have the right story to sell. And you may have a business today that's not structured properly, and you try to sell it like one I just worked with, and it went to the 11th hour, and then it canceled. And the reason the PE guys pulled out was because they found a mistake in the accounting that they overbooked $250,000 of revenue. The broker would have found that because he has an entire accounting team that would have properly reclassed the earnings, right? But you think, oh, my books are clean. Maybe, maybe not. Do you have a good second level management team? Do you have a good third level management team, right? So the business, you may look at it today and someone like Jeff will come in and go, "You're not structured right. We need to add these 2 people or these 3 people." Hold on. We got one pulling out. Give it 30 seconds.
What color is your airplane?
Mine is that color silver you see down there with the tarp on it.
I like silver. I have a silver truck.
You say it was an SR20?
Mine's a 20.
How fast did this go?
My is 150 true, where the 22 is about 175 true.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. The 22 turbo costs $400,000 more for 25 knots because speed is exponentially more expensive.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine. He's like, "So do you want to spend $1 million or $3 million? Because it's going to take how much is your time worth? Because it's about a 15-minute difference in time you get on that tarmac."
My mission is to the beach. My plane will do it in 2 hours, 15 minutes. A turbo will do it in 2 hours. So you're spending $500,000 to save 15 minutes. My buddy goes, "Do you like to fly?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Save $500,000, fly for 15 more minutes."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
So let's go back to the private equity, and then we'll move on to the next deal.
It's packaging your company up. It's putting the right organization structure in place. It's getting the financials to tell a story. It's recasting the earnings. And then it's building the strategic growth plan that then gets sold to the private equity guy. So he goes, "Holy shit. I want this, as opposed to, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to fix it. This isn't really right,
So what is a private equity deal? I sold part of my deal to part of our company to a private equity company. We're still operating.
Maybe.
What's the percentage?
Typically, you'll sell them 100% of the deal. Let's say you sell it to them for $20 million. They'll make you buy 20% back in the parent company, the platform. So let's say 20% of your 20 million is $4 million. They're going to give you 20. You're going to give them 4 million back. You clear 16, but you still own 20% of the parent company as a minority investor. And now you're going to take all their cash and start buying companies and accelerating what we talked about earlier. Buy all these porta potty companies and just start tacking them on and blow that thing up in a matter of a couple of years and then sell it to the next PE guy for
hot potato.
3 or 4 or 5 times the money.
And then what do? You just get a salary?
Yeah.
Is it substantial?
It's negotiable.
Because if you're running a $15-20 million company, you could be bringing in $750,000 to $1 million.
It's negotiable. Some guys that sell out don't want to be the CEO. Some people do. Some private equity guys will say, I'm only going to buy you, but you two are staying for 3 years in your current capacity.
Yeah.
Or you go and you say, I don't want anything to do with it. And they could say that we have another platform company, so you're not going to be the CEO. You can either leave or you can take a VP role somewhere. So everything is negotiable on the deal, whether you're the platform, the tuck-in, there's everything's negotiable.
That's awesome. That's good knowledge to know.
Yeah, very good knowledge.
Because there's a lot of, believe it or not, I have a lot of great family friends and friends I've consulted with. They're at that mark too. They're like, yeah, we're just going to run it and we're going to hand it down to our kids.
That's a lifestyle business. And what I always tell people is, before we begin that conversation, you need to tell me what you want. Do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want to work by yourself? Do you want to just manage your company, hand it off to your kids? Or do you want to create generational wealth in hyperspeed and then go do something else? Because maybe porta potties isn't what you want to do when you're 50.
There's not a lot of people, I think, that want to play around with the porta potty. we're like a little enigma.
You might want to go, you guys have a lot of real estate. I started buying real estate about 3 years ago, and I own a bunch now.
Yeah.
It's a non-work intensive business that generates a monthly income.
Well, hey, while we're on business, I got a question I've been thinking about. If you could do it all over again, knowing what you know now, right? What would you do if you started over today? You were a 21-year-old kid watching this, right? With your knowledge, what would you do to get to where you're at today?
I love this answer, right? People asked me this the other day. They said, is there still opportunity to build big companies today? And my answer was, oh my gosh, think about where we were 20 or 30 years ago with no internet versus where we are today.
Yeah.
Literally, if you are 18 or 19 or 20 years old, you have every PhD in the world, every Nobel Prize winner, every book ever written, every expert on every subject, anything you've ever wanted to know in your frigging pocket.
Exactly.
Elon Musk says, why would you go to Harvard? You can take every Harvard class on your phone.
See, it's amazing.
There is unlimited opportunity just from the knowledge on this phone to go do anything you want to do.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the resources are amazing. You think of Henry Ford, who started this, the automobile company. What would he have been able to do if he had the internet?
Oh,
right. So
yeah.
Opportunities are endless, and the power of social media and the internet and the platforms you can build, it's just unlimited. And I did a video on this the other day, and the competition to be successful today is not as hard as it used to be either.
I agree with that.
Because so many people are growing up with an education system that tells them that you deserve to be taken care of, and the government owes you something, and your parents owe you something. And by the way, since you're successful, you owe them something because you don't deserve what you got. Even though you worked for it, they deserve a part of it, right? So we have this entire generation of people that aren't willing to go out and bust their ass and do what we did and sign their name on the dotted line and take the risk and put up with the bullshit. Yeah. They're just not ready.
Or they spend the first 30 years of their life looking for the perfect idea.
Yeah. But in my opinion,
any entrepreneurship, true entrepreneur realizes that business plans are about as worthless as the paper written on.
Yeah.
I have a banker the other day. He was like, hey, I need a business plan. I was like, you're not my right banker. Because any smart banker is going to know the day I turn that business plan in, you might as well just chunk it in the trash. Because if you're holding me to that business plan, I'm not going to have a business.
I laugh when I started my landscaping company. I didn't know how to do landscaping. And so I had a buddy draw a design of a landscaping for a front yard. And I sold that thing 200 times. there are subdivisions with the same landscaping plan every fourth house, because I didn't know anything else. We're going to plant this bush here and this bush here. And they were like, oh, that looks really good. I'm like, that's what we're going to do because I'm an expert.
I don't even know what we're planting.
I didn't know what I was doing. When I sold insurance, I didn't know what I was doing. When I got into real estate, when we started an internet company, I didn't know what I was doing. I never know what I'm doing. I just do it.
Yeah.
And I think
you
that's
believe
how
in
you
yourself.
learn.
Yeah.
And you have self-discipline.
You're willing to show up early and stay late and put in the grind, the daily grind of learning.
I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to make drinks. And if you put me in my restaurant, I would not even know how to enter something into the POS system. I literally am the most useless person
Are you listening to
in
this?
a restaurant.
Are you listening to this?
Because you know what I manage? The profit and loss statements. I get reports sent to me on my phone every Thursday with all my data, and then once a month with my P&Ls. And I can tell you from looking at the data what's going on. And then I make a few phone calls, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then I'm done.
So what market? You've been in the restaurant industry. You've wrote books.
Mm-hmm.
You're building a social media platform, which is a whole different realm. You're 58 years old, and you walked in and you told your daughter that you're starting a social media platform, and she
Yes.
probably thought you were someone like us. We're 37. People are like, okay, he's still young, and but 58. They didn't have social media. They didn't even have computers when you started.
Yeah.
And you go in there and tell your family that you're starting a social media platform. You've been in landscape, you consult, you've done real estate, right? You have a plane that you have put in a charter service for pilot schools.
Yep.
You've tried all these things. What would be the business now? You consult for all different types of firms. What would be the business that you would go into? If you had to do anything again, what would you do?
I would go into something that I could sell online to the masses. One of my old partners used to say, whatever you're going to sell needs to be priced so that enough people will be willing to buy it, has enough profit margin so that you can afford to sell it, and then has an audience large enough that you can sell it online to the masses across either the country or the world. And that's how our internet company, we went from 0 to 60 million in revenue, sold it to a PE firm. And, I created more money than I knew what to do with.
Wow.
The thing was, I don't know anything about the internet. I was the ops guy. Steve was sales and Joe was tech. So if you asked me to go build an internet company today, I have no idea how. I'd have to find somebody who knows how to do it. Just let me run the business end. So
if that isn't exciting to you people that are listening to this, you entrepreneurs or thinking about being an entrepreneur, sitting around the couch or on the beanbag chair eating Cheetos. So
Playing
he owns
Fortnite.
a restaurant chain, doesn't know how to cook, can't sling a drink. Okay?
Can't even check
He
out his
had a
customers.
$60 million exit on an internet-based company, and he can't make an internet-based company.
nope.
Right? Are you getting the pattern here? So
Consults, finance, and entrepreneurs are way probably more educated.
And failed out of high school.
And failed out of high school.
So if you're watching this, you can do it. You got to get off the couch, not the beanbag chair. You got to have some self-discipline, and you can't give up because it's not easy. You got to keep trying. You got to keep plugging away. And if you fail, like he said, and like I've said in the past, you got to learn from your failures. You're going to fail. If you're not failing, you're not trying very hard, right? So it's amazing. We do these podcasts. We listen to these people talk, and if it doesn't make you excited and happy that you're living in America and you can do what you want to do. I came from nothing. He came from nothing. He said it. He came from nothing. What are you doing? You're sitting around. You're not trying hard. You're not being self-disciplined. So I love hearing these stories. It's freaking awesome and amazing, right? That we live in a place that this is even a possibility. So I want to talk a little bit about social media because we've been talking about it, and we're
That's
here.
why we're here.
We're
That's
here.
how we found you.
Yeah.
That's how we found
And
you.
this is what we'll wrap it
love
up on.
I love it. I love social media, and a lot of it's because we have 100 and some employees, and employees are hard, right? There's
And
a lot of
expensive
movement,
equipment.
they're expensive, a lot of liability. And, we're trying to find our way in the social media space, and we have a lot of good information. We've learned a lot of things, and we get to meet a lot of really cool people, right? But at the end of the day, tell us about your social media adventure and what you're doing with it now, what your goals are with it. And then lastly, for me personally, I want to know, are you making any money on it?
The last question is no,
Okay, fair enough. So he's not making any money on it. Not yet.
directly.
Okay, fair enough.
But it does lead to, it's a tool, right? It's like a skid steer loader. You're not making money on the skid steer loader. It's a tool that you use in your business, right? So again, a year ago, I told my daughter I'm going to be a social media influencer because I thought, that'll be fun. So I started posting pictures and memes, and then somebody said, you need to do videos. And I was like, okay. So I started doing videos, and then I was like, well, these videos suck. And so we just got little better and better and better. And I kept investing more money in coaches and people telling me how to do podcasting. I started a podcast, and people telling me, $150,000 I invested. And we got better and better and better and better. And you keep thinking, I'm going to do amazing stuff that's going to take off, right? But my first big post came from me sitting on the couch on a Saturday afternoon, and somebody at my restaurant complained that my bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich was too expensive and text me. And I'm like, but you don't understand. My rent is $20,000 a month, and my labor is $60,000, and my utilities are $5,000, and I have to sell, and I went this little rant, and then I just clicked on the camera and I said the same thing and put it on TikTok, and I got 10 million views.
10 million views.
And then next thing you know, Fox News calls me, Fox Business calls me, I'm on CNBC, the Glenn Beck Show calls me, Daily Mail, New York Times, and it was from me just sitting on my couch. Like, it wasn't high def, these fancy cameras. It was just me just going, you're not going to believe what this person just said to me.
10 million views.
Well, across all channels, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It was insane. Like, I heard you say that. Are you the one that gets up, watches your news every 5 minutes looking for how many views?
Yeah, we've done that.
That was me.
We've been on the phone too together.
Like, sometimes we're like, we have a group text between us, Alex and Eric, and we're like, this one's going viral. And then it'll just plateau. It's like 10,000.
I remember waking up the next morning, it was like 300,000 views. I was like, what? And then I was like, holy crap. I went over to Instagram, 200,000 views. Like,
so people, we always get intrigued because we've interviewed some people that make a living that literally have quit their jobs. Billy Visco, he's full-time social media platform, and he's not doing what you're doing. You're talking, when we watch, the Dropout Multimillionaire, you're talking about pretty detailed.
Yeah.
And after meeting you, that's your personality.
All my consulting projects in the past 6 months came from people watching my social media. So am I making money on social media? No, but it brought all my customers to me.
You know where else we heard that? The food guy, 918 agent. He's a realtor. And he got famous in the Tulsa general area for doing reviews on burgers. I think is where I started. Right?
Burger
reviews. And then what he did was he used that as the driver to get people that are out of state. They found him, and then he was selling real estate to them based on finding him through his YouTube channel.
Same thing with my books. I write books not because I make money at them, because they're a tool. And people, they'll be like, I saw you on social media and I see you have a book. Go read it. And then they'll come back and go, oh yeah, I want to hire you. So it's just a tool.
So you're using your social media platform to drive your consulting business and use it as a tool to maybe find other opportunities because you know how to identify those now.
So we have a whole new program launching when this next book comes out, which is going to have a 2 training track program, one for sales and sales management and one for financial analysis, that we're going to start blowing out there, even with paid advertising at this point, to try and really build this consulting coaching business up. And these guys out there making, $1 million a year, $2 million a year. Dan Martell, I think, is $2 million a month.
Just by selling his platform.
Yeah, he sells his platform.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like the 4-step program where you buy it in for $15.99 a month and then you got to spend $27 to get the real juice?
No. You're going to get the juice. And then there is a long-term, we call it a maintenance program that goes along with it. Because I can tell you how to do your P&L analysis, but you also have to do that every single month moving forward. So,
sure.
Look, coaching and consulting, I call it, is for a reason and for a season. The reason is because you need to accomplish a task. The season is until you outgrow what I can bring you. Like if you're a $100 million company, I can't tell you how to fix your operations. I've never done that. But if you're a $2 to $20 million company, I can tell you how to do that. If you have a sales organization and I've done up to 175 million sales organizations, but if you're doing $1 billion, I probably can't tell you how to do that. So I understand my season fits in my niche. If you fit in my niche, I can help you. But when you go above me, then you need to find somebody else.
And when are you launching this?
So we're building out all the programs now. It'll launch with the book, the new master class on scaling and exiting. So probably within the next 30 days, it'll launch.
Wow. And how would I find this book and this class?
Well, the book we're going to market just like we do everything else. They're on Amazon. We use Amazon marketing. The classes we're going to start a whole social media program on. It's basically $3,000 for a 6-week program where we take you through the videos, we take you through the workbook, we take you through a call a week for 6 weeks to get you started. And then if you want to continue in the maintenance program, you can. That's my base program. My consulting programs are anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Plus, if we do on sites, it costs $2,500 a day to do that. And that's more intensive for you. Like I'm going to come into your business and we're going to break your operations down and your P&Ls down and your sales teams down.
And from getting to know you, I feel like that's what you like to do.
I do. I love it.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
I'm a builder fixer.
Yeah.
I'm not a manager.
Yeah.
I'm not a manager
And
either.
if I get to build and fix with you, I get to do the fun stuff and then you guys can
and then move on to the next thing.
move on to the next one. Yeah.
And then get excited about it.
ADHD, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can find your book on Amazon.
Amazon, yep.
And your class, you're going to design a whole new social media platform
Yep.
for your class.
It'll be around my website.
What's the name of that?
My website is brianwillmedia.com.
Okay. And
Brian Will Media. Everything's on there. The books, the classes, the training, everything.
but I'm sure we're going to be able to find that through Dropout Multimillionaire too. Are you going to have all
the Dropout MM? Yeah.
Okay.
We use what we call Force Multipliers, which is kind of our training programs. So the Force MM, the Dropout MM, which is also my social media handles.
Never been into any of his restaurants, never seen any of your businesses. But after speaking with you and hearing your grind, and still here today, from family to landscape to restaurants to consulting to insurance, I'm sure there's a lot you can bring to the table from 1,000 different perspectives.
Without a doubt.
And it seems pretty affordable too. Sometimes you look into these consultants, and some of the ones I've reached out to, just design a commission consultant for our presidents. How do they get paid? Some of these guys want $50,000 for like 3 days.
Yeah.
$100,000 to come in there and look at your stuff. Yours seems relatively affordable, like it's fair.
It is for now.
Yeah, until you've
proven yourself about 30 more times and you're like,
until you get to 1 million followers, you have a list of people. He's going to have multiple Ferraris.
yeah.
Eric and I always say we want Lamborghinis and when we want Ferraris, but we're crazy. We always say we're literally nuts. We're the only two idiots that will go buy a $25 an hour employee and put them in a Ferrari, AKA a roll-off truck, or the best Lamborghini money could buy. Those are $500,000 fuel trucks, and we'll pay those guys $30 an hour. And we say, here's your $1 million or $300,000 roll-off truck and your $500,000 in dumpsters.
Yeah.
So you have $1 million we've given you, and please treat it like it's your own.
Yeah. And it's amazing they don't.
No, not usually. No.
We can't even get them to sometimes do a pre-trip and post-trip inspection.
They drive your warehouse forklifts out across gravel parkway.
That's exactly right.
Oh, you're getting me all worked up. You must watch our podcast.
It doesn't take much
It's
to
a
get them all
shop
worked up.
forklift, folks. It's not. It has flat tires. It's not supposed to be on a gravel road. We paid $55,000 for that.
Yeah.
He hears it all the time.
Yeah.
So-
Saw somebody yesterday doing some stupid stuff while we were sitting there talking. It was funny. Go ahead.
Let's wrap this up because I know you're a busy guy. And one, I want to tell you thank you for having us out.
I appreciate you guys coming out, man. These are always fun.
Yeah.
I've been following you for a little bit, and I told Alex, we had taking you through our social media journey. We had another gentleman in here before, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, right? And we were blessed to have Alex on our team. I was like, start reaching out to these people, and these are the people I follow, right? And I was actually sitting on the beach when I started following you.
Really?
I was like, we have some commonality here. You're sitting on the beach. I'm sitting on the beach. I want to be where you're at. I'm thinking about roll-off dumpsters and toilets, and it sounds like you've already made your money, and you never really get out of the game.
Never.
It's
Your brain won't stop.
No.
Yeah.
I tried to
That's
retire
it.
twice. After 3 months, I'm like, I'm the guy that walks into a restaurant and or any shop and goes, oh, I could do this. I think I want to buy one of these, or
Exactly.
no matter what, I'm sitting here thinking I should start my own airplane company. That's just the way our brain works.
We went fishing and we were like, we're going to start our own charter service.
let's start a charter
Let's
service.
give us a reason to go
That's
down
me.
here and fish.
That's what literally you're talking about. I've seen him like 12 boats already.
My wife's like, since you have so much time, You're going to start a fishing charter business in Costa Rica?
Yeah. We got 7 businesses, a social media platform, a charter business.
She's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just want to thank you for having us out. You know, I've been following you. We're starting to get some really neat individuals like yourself on the podcast. And every time we meet with individuals like you, everybody has a different angle of attack with using social media. We still have not, Eric and I have still not figured out our niche. We don't even really have a name for our podcast. We wish we had a cool name like yours, like Dropout Multimillionaire. And you're all in on it, and we can feel the energy off of it. Ours is the Josh and Eric Show.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to come up with a unique name and trying to figure out what our platform is. But as we continue this journey in the social media world and continuing to meet people like yourself, for me, it's crazy to see the different angles that you can use these platforms for.
Yeah.
Some people make money off of them.
And I haven't figured it out either. I'm still learning.
But what's crazy to me is we haven't been on Fox News. We haven't even been contacted by even somebody similar by Fox News or CNBC or Glenn Beck that has a white microphone.
We can't get on the local news channel. Yeah.
We're paying for our flights out here to meet people like yourself. And then you get somebody like yourself that has 100,000 followers and you're on all these platforms.
Yeah.
You have books. You're killing it, man.
I appreciate that.
We see your comments. We see the people. We see the platforms that you're popping up, and we're like, what are we doing wrong?
I appreciate that.
And
we didn't even talk about the fact that I also sit on city council. I get to run a city.
Oh God, you're one of those guys.
I'm one of those guys.
My brother and I own a decent amount of real estate, and we develop neighborhoods and develop multifamilies.
Yep.
Don't take this the wrong way. I love city council people. They're usually
You're not allowed to go, I don't think,
Yeah,
anymore.
they ask me not to go anymore. They're usually volunteers. They usually have never owned anything. So you might actually be a good one that has some common sense knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? They usually all think you are just making millions, right? And you can overcome delaying a building permit or a rezoning for 9 months because that contract's just perpetual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
My option contract lasts forever.
city council, we won't even go there. You'll get me all worked up
Scratch
about
that
that.
out, Alex. Get rid of it.
We've been waiting a year and a half for a building permit in Tulsa County.
That's stupid.
We're trying to build a fuel station to build our fuel, to fill up our trucks because we have a fueling company. It makes sense, right? Why don't we have our own fueling station? We've been waiting 9 months and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, we need this. Oh, we need this. Why didn't you tell us all this at the very beginning for a freaking 15,000 gallon fuel station
Right.
pumping station?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
One linchpin. Guy probably, I don't want to go there. You're a city council member. I can't.
All right, guys.
Hey, disconnect that.
All right, guys. So, number one, if you don't, you probably know him just as well as we do now, but you're legit.
Thanks, man.
Yep, it was really fun to meet you, and hopefully you guys learned some stuff on this podcast. If you liked it, make sure you share, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and on to the next one.